think the last time you were on the show with me, CJ, I was like, well, you guys, welcome back to Every Child Can Learn, the network series that enlightens, encourages, and empowers our parents, teachers, and schools to reimagine equity in education and make learning simple and accessible for children of all abilities. Now, you may be thinking, how are schools going to reimagine education after 100 years? Well, the answer is progressive education, which is a peer education approach based on the principle that education must prepare our students for participation in a people centered global society rather than passive learners. So today's progressive strategy is internships. Now, for our students that are not familiar with this program, internships are learning experiences where employers offer practical work related to a student's field of study or career interest. Now, internships offer students career exploration, development, and new skills. So, our quote for May, you guys, is education is not preparation for life. Education is life itself affirms that we never graduate from education. It's life. So by the end of class today, we will be inspired to seek internships. So let's get started. And for all the students and teachers and visitors that are here for the first time, welcome. My name is Sparkle Lindsay. I'm an author, a nationally certified recovery coach facilitator, and owner of Sparkle LLC, The Light at the End of the Tunnel. I'm honored today and tickled to be here with co-host CJ Grace, host on Uncomfortable Conversations and Bookish Talk, author of 2 comical memoirs, My Wild Ride and How to Thrive After Breast Cancer and Infidelity, An Adulterer's Wife, and How to Thrive Whether You Stay or Not. Hey, CJ, how we doing?
I'm doing great. It's wonderful to be with you here on the show.
Yes, it's not always that we get to do this, so this should be
right.
a treat. So now, CJ, what's your thoughts on intern programs from high school students?
I think it's a terrific idea. And I know many stories of kids who've done internships in high school and ended up employed by the companies that they've done internships with. So it's an amazing idea. I think it's great. And I wish it was more available and more accessible to students to do internships.
I agree with you on that piece with the, reimagining education. I hope it continues because I think getting started early really helps us progress, right, in the future. So absolutely. Now, CJ, May is mental health awareness. How are we advocating that?
Well, yes, as you said, May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and the mission is to address the many challenges facing millions of people around the world who live with various mental health conditions.
Mm.
And so throughout the month, organizations actively participate in this national movement, which is dedicated to eradicating stigmas, extending support, fostering public education, and advocating for policies that prioritize the well-being of individuals and families affected by mental illness. So we're going to be honoring the students and staff at Dover High School for creating a mental health day called Reset Day to forego classes in favor of focusing on their mental well-being. The day is run by volunteers from the community to give teachers and students a bit of a break. And using the day as a reset is something the students at the school said that they are grateful for. So let's watch this interview of a teacher who benefited from Reset Day.
As a school, this is like one of many things that we do to support our students' mental health.
And their staffs. That is how Dover High School's first ever Reset Day came into play. The day was run by 80 volunteers from the community, truly giving teachers and students a break.
The hope was to just acknowledge the burnout of both students and teachers.
Today marks the day after the first semester and the day before the second semester.
Grateful, sigh of relief, happiness.
Using the day as a reset is something the students at the school say they're grateful for.
Especially around our age, it becomes a lot harder to identify what we're feeling and how to overcome it.
It was filled with important lessons, not in the curriculum. Every student and teacher would explore their physical, mental, emotional, and social health in ways to maintain and manage its well-being.
Every person is so different, and we tried to cover all of the bases so everyone could hopefully find something that would work for them that wasn't their phones.
A 30-minute assembly reviewed the resources inside the school and outside of it available to them. Traveling together, it allowed teachers to find new ways to connect with their students, hoping the students and staff can use what they learned today to be mindful of what it takes to take care of yourself.
I think the takeaway from Reset Day is that your mental health matters.
And this is something the school says they will definitely continue, and they hope other districts will bring Reset Day to their schools too. In Dover, Kelly O'Brien, WMUR News 9.
And Dover is not Dover in England, because there is a Dover in England, but it's Dover, New Hampshire. So that's an interesting thing that they do there. Yeah. And, you know, schools in Britain, there are a lot of them that are doing mindfulness training. And that's another way to reset your mind. There's a wonderful exercise in mindfulness that I actually stole from the British school system, because that's where they use it. And they use a piece of chocolate to learn mindfulness. It's all about learning to be aware of the touch, the feel, the smell, the taste, and sensations as you are holding on to the chocolate, you're unwrapping it, you're listening to the crinkling of the paper, you're smelling the chocolate, and then finally at the very end of this mindfulness exercise, you put the chocolate in your mouth and savor the flavor, and then you can swallow it. Now, it's a wonderful, wonderful exercise in mindfulness. And if school kids in Britain can do it, we adults can do it too. So I think reset days, mindfulness training, all of this is really, really effective in elevating mental health of young people.
Absolutely. Absolutely, CJ.
So, as we know, we are in graduation season, and valedictorian and commencement speeches are getting a lot of attention in terms of world events that are dominating our news cycle. So we're going to be honoring the people who've given empowering speeches that unite students to thrive.
Yes. And I'm still thinking about the chocolate.
Well, I'm a real chocoholic, so I'm always thinking about chocolate.
Be very present and in the moment. By the way, I love that exercise. But yes, every year
I actually have it on my website, cjauthor.com. If you want to do it, it's there. Find it on my website. But as I said, I didn't invent it. They invented it in Britain for British schools.
There it is. Well, you guys, back to it. Every year, as summer edges ever closer and the temperatures get hot, right? They get warmer. Important people ranging from the president to actors and from comedians to foreign dignitaries flock to American colleges to give graduates their advice on life, work, and everything else. So the commencement speech has become its own advice-filled genre, spawning best-selling books and videos. There's no clear indication of which university started the trend of tapping celebrities to speak at graduations, but over the past 3 or 4 decades, the numbers have grown. For a few fun speakers amid a torrent of university officials to the flood of business people, actors, writers, humorists who headline graduations. So let's listen to this graduation speech that went viral.
I stand before you tonight as the 2019 valedictorian. This time last year, I found out that I was in the running for this title. It was then that I decided I wanted it. So, I worked hard for it. I sacrificed for it. And yes, I stressed for it. And I got it. And at our senior awards ceremony, it felt so good when I heard my name announced with this title. It's so good. For about 15 seconds. Yeah, 15 seconds of my heart racing and my adrenaline pumping. 15 seconds of, yeah, I won! 15 seconds of being at the top of the pile of all my accomplishments, and it felt euphoric. But there must come a 16th second. And on that 16th second, I sat down in my seat, I looked at my silver stole that says valedictorian, and I thought, that's it? What just happened? Why am I not feeling anything else? To be honest, I don't even know what I was expecting. A parade of balloons to drop? Or maybe I was hoping that all of my problems would fade away in comparison to this amazing achievement. But none of that happened, not even in my heart. I felt nothing. I was shocked. This was a huge problem for me, and I needed to figure out why. So here was my thought process. Working hard is good, but it should not be done for the sole purpose of a goal's sake at the expense of relationship with others. And looking back on this year, I realized that the stress of this year for this goal in a 5-minute speech was paid for with the lack of attending to relationships in my life. A lesson learned and self-reflection accomplished. Now, I would like you, my fellow classmates, to do some self-reflecting. I would like you to take a moment to fill in a different thing that you strive for and you focused on. Something that you thought was the end-all, be-all. Perhaps it was sports. Perhaps it was fine arts, academics, getting into a particular school, an unhealthy social life. Friends, we are about to launch into life, and we haven't messed anything up yet. Now think, instead of academics taking your focus off your important relationships, it was your career you chose over your spouse. Instead of sports, it's money that you pursue at the detriment of your children. Instead of just the Instagram-worthy picture, it's striving to be famous at the expense of time with your friends because now you're too self-involved. I'm well aware that this is kind of a downer speech, but I don't care. Because a lesson learned should be a lesson shared. Now, I'm glad that I have only made this mistake of striving for something that is in the light of eternity not important for just 1 year. I can't imagine if I had learned this at 50 or at the end of my life. And here's the lesson. Have no regrets in the 16th second. Nothing is more important than your healthy relationships. Nothing. Not your goals, not your successes. And here's why. Relationships are where we get to influence, impact, and change people's lives. Your life cannot be meaningful without them. Now, we are put on this earth by our Creator, and we all have a purpose. Now, how we all go about that, that's what's different. It's different in what college we choose, who we marry, and what career we choose. It's different in the triumphs and tragedies that come upon us. But in all those things, new relationships are being formed. So be generous with your time and money, and a lot of relational issues will be resolved. And by the way, it's not too late to mend fractured relationships. Any friends you haven't spoken to in a while because of your pride, parents whom you disrespected, and teachers who you never thanked. Just do it. Humble yourself. Start a conversation. Have no regrets in the 16th second.
CJ,
Wow.
what are your thoughts on the speaker's graduation perspective?
Well, I think what he's saying is that the journey is as important as the goal. And in many ways, life is a tightrope. It's a balance between advancing your career or your life path, whatever that might be, and developing relationships. And they both have a place, and they both feed into each other, and they're both really important. But it's the balance between the two that makes the difference.
Right. It's like all that stuff in between, right? Like I know for me, like I think about, the celebration of 5 years of sobriety. And when I got to 5 years, I was like, yeah. But everything that I've done up to those 5 years, I was like, "This is wonderful." Everything that happened before the big shebang, because I loved the times I've spent and the journey I've taken, and I realized that getting to the destination wasn't what it was about in the first place. It was living for today. So
Yeah, and you need to be congratulated and praised for having got to that 5-year mark. But then there's the next day.
The next day.
And you're going to feel, oh, I feel great. It's been 5 years. And then the next day, oh, but it's just more of the same.
Exactly. I loved it.
So during our breaks, we're going to share 4 of the best commencement speeches. And when we come back from break, we're going to answer these important questions. Why are summer internship programs important? What are the do's and don'ts of your internship? And how, very important, how can you turn your internship into a job offer? Don't forget, Every Child Can Learn is sponsored by Thriving Women University, an affiliate of the Thriving Women Network. If you want to produce your own franchise show, TWN provides the media network training, coaching, and mentoring to do just that. How do you do it? Find out more information on our website, thrivingwomennetwork.com. We'll be right back after the video.
Today, I want to tell you 3 stories from my life. The first story is about connecting the dots. I dropped out of Reed College after the first 6 months, but then stayed around as a drop-in for another 18 months or so before I really quit. The minute I dropped out, I could stop taking the required classes that didn't interest me and begin dropping in on the ones that looked far more interesting. And much of what I stumbled into by following my curiosity and intuition turned out to be priceless later on. Let me give you one example. Reed College at that time offered perhaps the best calligraphy instruction in the country. Throughout the campus, every poster, every label on every drawer was beautifully hand calligraphed. I decided to take a calligraphy class to learn how to do this. I learned about serif and sans serif typefaces, about what makes great typography great. None of this had even a hope of any practical application in my life. But 10 years later, when we were designing the first Macintosh computer, it all came back to me. And we designed it all into the Mac. It was the first computer with beautiful typography. If I had never dropped out, I would have never dropped in on that calligraphy class, and personal computers might not have the wonderful typography that they do. You can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. So you have to trust that the dots will somehow connect in your future, because believing that the dots will connect down the road will give you the confidence to follow your heart, even when it leads you off the well-worn path. My second story is about love and love. Roz and I started Apple in my parents' garage when I was 20. We worked hard, and in 10 years, Apple had grown from just the 2 of us in the garage into a $2 billion company with over 4,000 employees. Then I got fired. I was a very public failure, and I even thought about running away from the valley. But something slowly began to dawn on me. I still love what I did. And so I decided to start over. During the next 5 years, I started a company named Next, another company named Pixar, and fell in love with an amazing woman who would become my wife. I'm convinced that the only thing that kept me going was that I loved what I did. You've got to find what you love. If you haven't found it yet, keep looking and don't settle. My third story is about death. When I was 17, I read a quote that went something like, "If you live each day as if it was your last, someday you'll most certainly be right." It made an impression on me. And since then, for the past 33 years, I've looked in the mirror every morning and asked myself, if today were the last day of my life, would I want to do what I am about to do today? Remembering that you are going to die is the best way I know to avoid the trap of thinking you have something to lose. Your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. Don't be trapped by dogma. Don't let the noise of others' opinions drown out your own inner voice. Have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. They somehow already know what you truly want to become. Stay hungry, stay foolish. Thank you all very much.
That's a powerful speech. And in that commencement address, that's Steve Jobs, founder of Apple, and he emphasized that his brush with death had been a powerful wake-up call. And I remember a quote from him. I actually quote him in my Wild Ride, How to Thrive After Breast Cancer and Infidelity. And he said, remembering that I'll be dead soon is the most important tool I've ever encountered to help me make the big choices in life. Because almost everything, all external expectations, all pride, all fear of embarrassment or failure, these things just fall away in the face of death, leaving only what's truly important. Very powerful. So welcome back to Every Child Can Learn TV. And if you're just tuning in to our classroom, we're discussing the progressive education approach to summer internship programs. So let's discuss 5 reasons why we think the importance of that an internship is important. And unfortunately, in today's job market, passing exams with high scores and getting a degree doesn't offer work experience. And by doing an internship, you're going to be able to gain real life exposure, grow your knowledge, and determine if you're exploring the right career path and field. And internships don't only provide you with first-hand experience in the real working world, but also enable you to understand the career trajectory for your desired job title. And you can learn how to apply the knowledge you've acquired during that internship to your future workplaces. And it's a learning curve for young graduates and students while meeting new people and making connections in the professional world.
Absolutely. Internships, they're great for networking and the exchange of information between individuals to form relationships to further their professional career. An internship is an experiential learning opportunity that offers an invaluable chance for students to network and build crucial professional connections before they even graduate. And so for some students, it's a stepping stone to opportunities within the same organization, including a full-time job. The more people you meet in the professional world with the same interests, the higher your chances to grow as a professional. Now, you'll get to know how these people work, with strategies they use to tackle a difficult situation, and how they get the job done. Different people, you guys, have different skills. Meeting them and watching them work will help you understand how to work with different people and in various work environments. You may start as an intern in a specific field, but the more you explore it, the more you will discover about it, right? Working in a real world environment will help you understand the depths of your field and help you determine whether it's a career you wish to pursue in the future. So let's watch this Impact YouTube video to review what we covered.
If you're looking for a job, it can seem like everything requires 3 to 5 years of experience. In fact, experience can be the crucial factor in who gets hired and who doesn't. Employers love experience. But data also shows that post-secondary education is essential for higher lifetime earnings. So, how do you get both education and experience? Internships. According to a 2012 study by the National Association of Colleges and Employers, 59% of businesses hired their paid interns as new full-time employees. This may be why 65% of 25 to 32-year-olds in the labor force said more work experience while in school would have helped them get the job they wanted. By cultivating the professional networks and skills you need to succeed, internships can really improve your employability, regardless of what you're majoring in. In fact, a recent Auburn University study showed that interning in a career field could be even more important than majoring in that field when it comes to getting a job interview. And while unpaid internships were a big thing in the past, the U.S. Department of Labor now issues legal guidelines that encourage employers to pay interns for their work. In fact, both national and local data indicate that the overwhelming majority of internships are paid. So, intern early and intern often. And if you're a rising college junior or senior looking for an internship, check out the Kentuckiana Works College to Career program. It places good interns with good companies in paid internships. To be considered for a 2015 summer or fall internship, apply now at c2clouisville.org.
Well, Sparkle and I just laugh a lot. We have fun together.
We do. So everybody knows, right, CJ, that the job market is competitive and has hundreds of other candidates applying for the same role, right?
Yeah, and as a result, you need a way to give you a competitive edge and make yourself stand out. So internships can provide you with experience and the skills to help make employers notice you, as well as showing them that you'd be a good fit for their company. It shows that you're someone who has the drive and passion without necessarily having a college degree.
Yes. And when we come back, you guys, we're going to share some do's and some don'ts. Okay. So remember, Every Child Can Learn is sponsored by Thriving Women University, which is an affiliate of the Thriving Women Network. Now, if you want to produce a franchise show, TWN provides the media network coaching, training, and mentoring to produce that franchise show. So visit our website for more info, and we'll be back.
There will never be anything in your life as fulfilling as making a difference in somebody else's. Everybody here wants to see you take your integrity, your curiosity, your creativity, your guts, and this newfound education of yours, and use it to make a difference. Everybody always thinks you got to go do something big and grand. I'll tell you where you start. You start by being good to at least one other person every single day. It doesn't matter if it's a member of your tribe or a stranger on the street. I'm here to tell you that a little act of compassion can be a lifesaver for somebody who receives it, but also for you who offers it. Just extend yourself in love and kindness to somebody. And as my dear friend Maya always said, love recognizes no barriers. It jumps hurdles, it leaps fences, it penetrates walls to arrive at its destination full of hope. And when you step out in love, you become someone's hope. And I don't care how hard life after college gets, and it's gonna get hard. We need you to dream big. We need audacious thinkers. We also need generosity of spirit. We need high standards and open minds and untamed imagination. That's how you make a difference in the world. Using who you are and what you stand for to make changes big and small. And there will be times when making the next right decision will be scary. I'll tell you a secret. That's how I've gotten through every challenge without being overwhelmed, by asking, what is the next right move? You don't have to know all the right moves. You just need to know the next one. And it's okay to be scared. In fact, if you weren't scared, I'd be scared for you. But let me repeat something that the most extraordinary, certainly one of the most extraordinary men I've ever known said. May your choices reflect your hopes, not your fears. Let your choices reflect your hopes, not your fears.
Love it.
Let your choices reflect your hopes rather than your fears. That's a good quote.
Our choices protect us, man. I know that. So good choices, right? Well, welcome back to Every Child Can Learn TV, you guys. If you're just tuning into our classroom, we're discussing the progressive education approach of summer internship programs, right, CJ?
That's right.
So this next video, we're going to share some tips on the intern do's and don'ts.
You sent out your applications. You killed it during the interview. You scored the internship or co-op, and now your first day in the office is coming up. How do you prepare? How do you crush it on the first day of the job? We've got you covered, coming up next. Hi everyone. So your first day of your internship is coming up and you're stressing over what you should or shouldn't do to make the best possible first impression. Well, in this video, we'll cover 5 tips to remember to help you get started. First off, plan for your outfit ahead of time so you fit in easily. It's important to match your outfit to the work environment. Basically, you should dress the same way you saw other people in the workplace dress when you came in for your interview. So remember to take note of that during your interview. Oh, and don't go overboard on cologne or perfume. Next, be on time, always. To be safe, aim to arrive at your workplace at least 10 to 15 minutes early. Always take into account travel time and other delays. Also, confirm with your manager over email the correct building or office you're supposed to show up at. Sometimes it's different from where you interviewed. It also helps to plan out and even physically try out your commute in advance so there's no surprises during your first commute to work. Another thing to remember is that on your first day, people expect you to ask a lot of questions. So whoever is orientating you, try to get all of the small questions out of the way as soon as possible. This includes detailed questions about your first project. It also includes office rules and etiquette, washroom locations, and kitchen rules. You should also introduce yourself to everyone you're working with and find out what they do. Basically, anything about the job that you can't Google yourself, try to ask within your first day or two at the office. This will help you look more on the ball later in your internship. Next, your first few days and even your first few weeks will have a lot of information thrown at you. Knowing this, whether you walk over to a neighboring cubicle or you're invited to an office meeting or you're invited to meet with your manager in his or her office, be sure to always keep a laptop or notebook and pen on you everywhere you go. You never know when someone is going to say something that you'll need to write down. Finally, the last tip is to network. A big part of turning your internship into a job is connecting with your coworkers and getting them to recommend you at the end of your work term. So, take your lunch break and sit with your coworkers. Join a coworker for a 10-minute walk, or grab a drink with them after work. Being social is an important part of getting ahead in the workplace, so don't skip over that. Thanks so much for watching this Rank by Internship video. And remember, you can find a ton of internships and internship reviews at rankbyinternship.com and .ca. Also, be sure to leave a comment below to tell us what you thought about today's internship tips. Maybe you have a couple of your own that you'd like to share. And if you have any questions about this video or have requests for future videos, please let us know. We'll do our best to answer everybody. In the meantime, if you like this video, please click the like button or share it with your friends. And don't forget to click the subscribe button just down below.
Well, at this point, I'd like to bring in Vera Thomas, and she is a coach, speaker, and author, as well as one of our TWN co-hosts.
Yes.
And Vera, you worked as a career development specialist, and you have additional guidelines that are used for determining internships. So let's hear from you. What are your views on the internship issue?
One of the things, because oftentimes young people have ideas of what they want to do or they think they want to do. So one of the things that I encourage prior to selecting an internship, do career surveys. Go into companies that you think you want to work for or look for positions that you think you want to have and ask questions to the person that's doing the work that you want to do. Questions like, how did you decide on this particular career? What would you say are the best qualities for this type of career? What don't you like about your career? What would you tell a person that's looking to go into this type of work? And then express your desire to be an intern or even shadow them to get an idea about that particular career. For example, when I lived in Kentucky and I worked with teenagers, and there were so many that wanted to be veterinarians. And there are a lot of horse farms in Kentucky. Right. And there are quite a few horse hospital, animal hospitals in Kentucky. So those who wanted to be veterinarians, I suggested that they go talk with a veterinarian and ask to do an internship in their hospital or their facility. And that gives a young person a keen idea as to whether or not this is really something I want to pursue. And in addition to that, oftentimes, just like CJ said earlier, a lot of times people end up with positions as a result of doing internships. And so just make informed decisions. When you consider that 89% of people who graduate from from college, never work in the field.
Right.
And it's almost like wasted time because you spent all this money on your education and you're not working in the field. And that's because people don't make informed decisions based on their values, their interests, their skills, and their personality type, their hobbies, and their passion. And so being able to help people identify those things, do internships in those areas, talk to people that are doing that kind of work, is going to give you a better idea as to whether or not this is really something for you. Because oftentimes I was a non-traditional college student, and I would ask my younger counterparts, what made you decide on this particular discipline? And I can't tell you how many times I heard things like, well, everybody in my family does this, or people thought I'd be good at it, or I don't know, I just thought I'd try it. No informed decisions.
Right.
Wow. Well, our final video is going to enlighten us on how to turn an internship into a job offer when you graduate from high school. And we will be back with more discussions on internships after this break.
Job interviews are bad enough, but summer internships are like job interviews that last 2 months and with no guarantees at the end, unless you nail, and I mean nail, 3 challenges that may surprise you. But first, let's quickly dispense with the unsurprising advice about summer internships. Show up early, leave late, get to know everyone, attend all extracurricular events, and be cheerful. You know those. Done. Now for the harder stuff. First, over the course of the summer, you must give the company something it doesn't already have. A big idea, a critical skill, unique insight into a certain demo or trend. Look, school is all about telling teachers what they already know. Employers want to know what they don't know. Bringing that to the table makes you indispensable. In fact, best case scenario, your value add should make your employer worry that you might take your brain or skills to a competitor. Instant ask back. Second, don't spend all your time trying to impress the bigs, ferreting out a job offer. Sure, make it clear you'd welcome one, but more than anything, all summer you should focus on making the company better, smarter, faster, more competitive. Sheer ambition, that's all about you, and it's the ultimate turnoff. So forget the politicking and focus on teamwork and results. Finally, you have to convince your employer you'd be a great representative of the brand in the real world. Because the truth is, no company is going to make you an offer unless you've proven to them you'd be an asset in front of clients or customers, and you won't embarrass them on Instagram. This is not a joke. Companies guard their reputations fiercely, and to get the offer you want, your outside game has to be as good as your inside. Okay, get out there and have a great summer. But remember, the internship interview is long. Use it as an opportunity to ace these 3 required assignments. School will be over soon, but your career is just beginning.
Woo. Well, some good information so far, you guys, and I know we got more to come. So remember, Every Child Can Learn is sponsored by Thriving Women University. It's an affiliate of the Thriving Women Network. And if you want to produce a franchise show, TWN provides the media network training, coaching, and mentoring to produce your franchise show. For more information, visit our website, and we'll be back.
A mere 7 years after my graduation day, I had failed on an epic scale. An exceptionally short-lived marriage had imploded, and I was jobless, a lone parent, and as poor as it is possible to be in modern Britain without being homeless. The fears that my parents had had for me and that I had had for myself had both come to pass. And by every usual standard, I was the biggest failure I knew. Now, I'm not going to stand here and tell you that failure is fun. That period of my life was a dark one, and I had no idea that there was going to be what the press has since represented as a kind of fairy tale resolution. I had no idea then how far the tunnel extended, and for a long time, any light at the end of it was a hope rather than a reality. So why do I talk about the benefits of failure? Simply because failure meant a stripping away of the inessential. I stopped pretending to myself that I was anything other than what I was, and began to direct all my energy into finishing the only work that mattered to me. Had I really succeeded at anything else, I might never have found the determination to succeed in the one arena where I believed I truly belonged. I was set free because my greatest fear had been realized, and I was still alive, and I still had a daughter whom I adored, and I had an old typewriter and a big idea. And so rock bottom became the solid foundation on which I rebuilt my life. You might never fail on the scale I did, but some failure in life is inevitable. It is impossible to live without failing at something, unless you live so cautiously that you might as well not have lived at all, in which case you fail by default. Failure gave me an inner security that I had never attained by passing examinations. Failure taught me things about myself that I could have learned no other way. I discovered that I had a strong will and more discipline than I had suspected. I also found out that I had friends whose value was truly above the price of rubies. The knowledge that you have emerged wiser and stronger from setbacks means that you are, ever after, secure in your ability to survive. You will never truly know yourself or the strength of your relationships until both have been tested by adversity. Such knowledge is a true gift, for all that it is painfully won, and it has been worth more than any qualification I ever earned. So given a time turner, I would tell my 21-year-old self that personal happiness lies in knowing that life is not a checklist of acquisition or achievement. Your qualifications, your CV, are not your life, though you will meet many people of my age and older who confuse the two. Life is difficult and complicated and beyond anyone's total control, and the humility to know that will enable you to survive its vicissitudes.
Well, welcome back to Every Child Can Learn TV. And if you're just tuning into our classroom, we're discussing the progressive education approach of summer internship programs. We've answered the questions, why are summer internship programs important? And what are the do's and don'ts of your internship? How to turn your internship into a job offer. So CJ, let's talk about it. What are your thoughts on the commencement speech?
Well, I think that we found out that rock bottom can be a foundation. That's what the latest commencement speech told us. Rock bottom can be a foundation, and success is always built on failure. We tend to see people as overnight successes. We don't see the 10,000 hours and many years of training that have gone into creating that success and all the failures that led to it, because nobody publicizes that. But you think people have been overnight successes. They haven't. It's almost always built on a lot of failure and a lot of hard work. I think that there was a book by Malcolm Gladwell called Outliers, and he found that those people that were the most successful had put in at least 10,000 hours into their chosen profession, into their chosen path. And so there's always that. And if you aren't crushed by adversity, it makes you stronger. And I think that really was the underlying theme of a lot of those commencement speeches we heard today, and also the fact that it has to be a balance. It's a tightrope between developing relationships and having a fulfilling life with others and pursuing a career path. It's always a balance. So, Vera, I've got a question for you because of your background in internships and in business. What is your call to action when it comes to planning summer internship opportunities?
For the individual that's looking for the internship or for companies?
Yes. So if we've got a student that's watching the show today, how would they go for trying to get an internship that's really going to promote their future career?
Yeah.
The first thing is to identify what it is you want to do. Or that you think you might want to do, because when you consider a lot back in the day, people would stay on jobs until they were 80, but now with the way our society is, you can expect to have anywhere from 3 to 6 different careers within your lifetime. We get stuck thinking this is what I've got to do for the rest of my life, when we just need to look at what do I think I want to do right now and make that decision first. And then again, I strongly encourage career surveys because it really allows that student to talk to someone that's doing the work. And they can ask bona fide questions that will give them a better and clearer idea as to whether or not this is a fit for them. And then talk to the individual about being an intern. It may be a location that's not even advertising that they're doing internships, but you can make such an impression on just from asking the questions. You can make such an impression that they will offer you an internship. And I've seen that happen. I have seen it happen. Right. And so the first thing is knowing what you think you want to do. That's the very first thing. And then design your questions, go into that interview with pen and paper, ask the questions, look the person in the eye as you're talking to them, and also ask, and when you go in, you're asking for advice. I'm a high school student, I'm considering this as my career, and I need your advice. People are quick to give you advice. So asking that question, getting your foot in that door, asking those survey questions, and then saying, this sounds like something I really would like to do, and I would love to do it here. When can I start?
There it is.
So why is it important for interns to apply now and not to wait, to just get on with it?
Oh, they need to be applying actually throughout the year, because that gives them an opportunity to have informed decisions. And oftentimes, until the end of the school year, those internships are probably filled up. Right. And so it's best to start your planning ahead of time. Think about what it is you want to do and start doing interviews. Give yourself the opportunity to make a choice.
So how early would you recommend students apply, or start the research? If we've got the summer is actually not that far away now, but how early would you actually think that students
actually, if you can start work at age 16, I believe. So a 16-year-old can actually start that process the beginning of the school year. They can actually start, because then by summer, they already know I've got a job.
Yeah. Nice. Well, let's see, CJ, what lessons, because I think, Vera, you have a good point when we talk about getting started early in the internship process, and also, just not feeling that stress, right? As students, like, man, now I got to get an internship. Now I have to do this. Just planning ahead of time. You gave some really, really good points there. And now I'm going to loop it around to CJ. CJ, what lessons can we learn from even the intern videos that we watched today?
Well, I thought they were very, very helpful. And particularly the one that said, oh, yeah, we know you have to be not just on time, but come in early and leave late. Don't, wear flamboyant clothes or very, strong perfume. Don't just be pestering the boss for a permanent job, but just make yourself a good part of the team and provide something that they don't already have. I think that's really interesting as what is it that because everybody is different. Everybody has different skills. And there is something that and that you're good at that may not be there already in the company. And it's your job to see where that is and to make sure that people know about it and help. You're supposed to help the company grow and help the business move forward rather than just being very aggressive in terms of looking for a job for the future. So I thought that those lessons were very, very useful. And particularly what Vera just said, you have to be asking the questions, you have to be doing the research, you have to be actually applying pretty early at the beginning of the school year for something that might happen in the summer. So yeah, I think we've really covered a lot of ground here, and it's been very, very useful for any student watching that would like to do an internship over the summer. I think it's very useful. And what we've said now, even if you don't have enough time to do it for this year, start the process for next summer.
And I really think it's also cool too. Vera, you mentioned a few things. Nowadays, you may have 3 to 6 different professions, that you might be into. And I like that you say that, because that is us reimagining education. That's why we have the show, right? Because ultimately we're letting people know that we don't stay in the same job all the time. I know I haven't. And I know that being able to know that there's plans in place for us as leaders to tell them, hey, figure out what you truly want to do. CJ said it, turn your pain into purpose and start a business and do all of those things and live out there and be a thinker and a doer, right? And figure those things out. All of this is all a part of that process and figuring out what you really want to do, right? Yes. Well, you guys remember, Every Child Can Learn is sponsored by Thriving Women University. It's an affiliate of the Thriving Women Network. And if you want to produce a franchise show, TWN provides the media network training and the coaching and mentoring to produce your franchise show. So for more information, visit our website, and we'll be back.
To me, basic SEAL training was a lifetime of challenges crammed into 6 months. So here are the 10 lessons I learned from basic SEAL training that hopefully will be of value to you as you move forward in life. Every morning in SEAL training, my instructors, who at the time were all Vietnam veterans, would show up in my barracks room, and the first thing they'd do was inspect my bed. If you did it right, the corners would be square, the covers would be pulled tight, the pillow centered just under the headboard, and the extra blanket folded neatly at the foot of the rack. It was a simple task, mundane at best, but every morning we were required to make our bed to perfection. It seemed a little ridiculous at the time, particularly in light of the fact that we were aspiring to be real warriors, tough, battle-hardened SEALs. But the wisdom of this simple act has been proven to me many times over. If you make your bed every morning, you will have accomplished the first task of the day. It will give you a small sense of pride, and it will encourage you to do another task, and another, and another. And by the end of the day, that one task completed will have turned into many tasks completed. Making your bed will also reinforce the fact that the little things in life matter. If you can't do the little things right, you'll never be able to do the big things right. And if by chance you have a miserable day, you will come home to a bed that is made, that you made. And a made bed gives you encouragement that tomorrow will be better. So if you want to change the world, start off by making your bed.
Start off by making your bed. I don't know if my bed's made this morning. Now I got to go back. I got to check it out. Well, you guys, I just want to say and thank you to CJ Grace and also Vera Thomas for you guys coming on and spending some time on Every Child Can Learn. It's always good to have some new people in there, some smiling faces. So thank you guys so much for giving us this internship vibe. It was like it was meant to be, honestly. And I also want to say thank our Prime viewers from around the world for supporting today's mission to enlighten, encourage, and empower students, parents, and teachers in schools to recognize the impact the internship programs can have on high school students' career path. Now, we would love to hear your comments on today's topic by joining our Facebook group, Thriving Women TV, and telling a friend to tell a friend to tell another friend. All right. Now, you can watch recent episodes on demand at our Facebook group, E360 TV, or our website, www.thrivingwomennetwork.com. CJ?
And don't forget, Every Child Can Learn is sponsored by Thriving Women University, an affiliate of the Thriving Women Network. And if you want to produce a franchise show of your own, TWN provides the media network training, coaching, and mentoring to do just that. And for more information, visit our website. What's our website? thrivingwomennetwork.com. And don't forget to tune into AMP Sports. That's tomorrow, Thursday, 12 noon Eastern, amplifying women's sports with Sparkle. Of course, it wouldn't be the same without Sparkle. So
yes. And
Every Child Can Learn will be back next week, but tune in to AMP Sports tomorrow, Thursday.
Yes.
Yes.
One more word there. Vera, what did you have? What's that word you got for us?
There's one more word, and I think it's really, really important. Please, young people, watch what you put on the internet, because that can impact your internship. It can impact your scholarships and your job. I know for a fact, I was working with a teenage boy, and he had all these scholarships. And because of something that was on on Facebook, he lost them all. Lost them all. So please be careful how you're presenting yourself on social media, because employers are watching. Those who want you to do an intern with them, they're watching as well. So be careful. Be careful.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Other than that, we will see you guys next Wednesday. Once again, thank you, ladies, and see y'all later.
Bye.